I was wrong about Sydney Sweeney. So 4 months ago, I made a video when she dropped her bathwater as soap. Yes, you heard that right, bathwater as soap. I made a video defending her. I was like, you know what? I don't agree with this, but leave the girl alone. Let her make her money. More power to her. But since then, oh my God, Sydney has found herself in hot water again. And this time it's not funny, it's not cute, and it's not defendable. It's deeper because now it feels like we're starting to watch a pattern. And the more we watch, the more we feel like we're witnessing something bigger than just one actress messing up a promo or picking the wrong brand deal. It's like watching a shift, a low, slow, uncomfortable pivot where a woman who once felt like one of us starts catering to an audience that doesn't even like women, if we're being honest. Sydney's downfall is not about people hating on her. It's about what happens when a woman's success starts getting built on the approval of powerful men instead of the support of the people who actually put her on the map. Between the tone-deaf American Eagle ad, that terrible interview with GQ, the strange brand alignments, and the audience that she keeps trying to court and failing, it honestly feels like she's speed running the end of her career. And the craziest part is that we're all seeing this shift happen in real time. Every controversy stacks on top of the last one, and now we're here where her latest movie, Christie, has been flopping. And it's flopping big time, even though many people were speculating that this role would be Sydney Sweeney's Oscar nomination and her Oscar win. So what's going on? Whether she realizes it or not, Sydney has been building an image that directly contradicts the one that made her famous in the first place. And once the fans start noticing that disconnect and they feel like you're no longer speaking to them but an entirely different crowd, that's when the downfall starts to happen. Today we're going to use her story as a lens to explore how celebrity culture, authenticity, objectification, and the incentives for women to appeal to conservative male power, how they all intersect. And by the end of today's video, we are going to answer this question. Does fame or success actually corrupt women, or does the industry just reward women who are willing to align themselves with conservative power, even if it means losing the audience that built them? Let's get into this video. Yeah. Y'all, the holiday season is coming up and it is stressful, so I needed a break from real people's drama, so I escaped into the world of love and pies, only to end up in more drama. But at least this one is fictional and cute. So imagine your mom's cafe burns down under these super suspicious circumstances, and suddenly you're rebuilding it from the ashes, baking treats, serving customers, while trying to figure out who literally set everything on fire. And then your high school sweetheart literally pops up out of nowhere. We love a good storyline, and Love and Pies is giving it. So to play the game, basically all you're doing is combining matching ingredients to create cute little pies and treats for your customers. You serve it to your customers and then they give you tips, and the tips you get helps finance your mom's old cafe to make it look cute again, because remember, somebody burned it down. But who burned it down? You gotta play to find out. And lately I've been playing Love and Pies during my little work breaks, and honestly it's been great because I used to doom scroll and I would always come back feeling more tired and just drained. But after playing Love and Pies, I feel more creative and accomplished, and that's just been my go-to to relax. But what I've been the most excited about in this game is the Winter Tales event. This new event starts at level 16, but we've got some early access. Basically, it's a limited time event where you collect these beautifully illustrated stickers made by real artists too. So clock it, we love real artists. And you fill out these different themed pages. And the best part is that every time you fully complete a page, you unlock even bigger rewards. It just makes the game feel extra cozy and festive. As you can see, like, the game has got me in my festive era right now. And did I mention that this is the only event where you can unlock the Joker booster? This is a big deal because this booster is very powerful, as you can instantly upgrade any item on the board. So it's just a fun time. I've been having so much fun playing Love and Pies, and you can as well. The game is free to download, but this offer is only valid through my link, so make sure you do not miss out. And let's just all be festive together. But let's continue with the video. Part 1. How Sydney Sweeney became Hollywood's golden girl. So Sydney was born in Spokane, Washington in 1997, making her 28 years old at the time of this video. She started acting when she was barely a teenager, and she even made this PowerPoint presentation to convince her parents to move to LA so she could chase her dream of becoming an actress. And I mean, it worked, because by the age of 14, she was living in LA, auditioning for really anything that she could get. Her first acting role came in 2009 on Criminal Minds, which was my a show back in the day. The show is about FBI agents who basically like solve crimes and stuff. It's a great show. I just love like crime stuff because when I was younger, I wanted to be a detective. So that's why. After she secured her role on Criminal Minds, she kept going. She was on the grind and she got other roles too, but no offense, they were still considered small and forgettable. Nothing to really break her into the industry. She was on Grey's Anatomy and Pretty Little Liars. It was the kind of work that barely anyone noticed, but it was all building towards something bigger. Her first real breakout came with Sharp Objects and The Handmaid's Tale, where people finally started to see that she wasn't just another blonde actress trying to make it. There was something about her at the time. You know, she had a mix of vulnerability, rawness, and talent, and that made her stand out. And of course, then came Euphoria, which completely changed the game for her. I think it's safe to say that a pretty big chunk of us was introduced to Sydney from Euphoria. At least I was, because I had no idea who she was until she was in the show. So in June 2019, Sydney took on the role of Cassie Howard, a teenager with the reputation for being promiscuous. And just like that, she became everyone's obsession. The show was a breakout hit, quickly becoming the second most watched series on HBO. And her performance did not go unnoticed. She was the talk of the town on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. The whole show in general, there were so many video essays on it, and I love that time period. It's kind of like nostalgic for me to think about. But she was praised for this role. Variety even called her one hell of a shapeshifter across her roles in Euphoria, The Handmaid's Tale, Everything Sucks, and Sharp Objects. And by 2022, she earned a Primetime Emmy nomination for Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series, cementing her as one of the most talented young actresses of her generation. Playing Cassie brought a lot of attention to Sydney because it was controversial. Cassie's many nude scenes sparked conversations because people were like, hey, these people are supposed to be teenagers, you know, it's a high school, hello, why are we seeing so much of her body with no clothes on? And a lot of people felt like it was just unnecessary and it was just leading into the male gaze. Because keep in mind, the director and producer of Euphoria, his name is Sam Levinson, he's a man. So people were like, oh, we don't know how we feel about this because y'all doing a little too much. Like, Euphoria is known for its rawness and its realness, but was it too much? That's what a lot of people were wondering. But Sydney herself has said that she doesn't consider on-screen nudity a boundary. She's unapologetic about her choices and committed to telling her character's stories fully, no matter the controversy, no matter what she gotta do. She even said in interviews that she finds acting a nude powerful. She's not nervous at all, and she credits the experience with giving her confidence and self-awareness. For her, Cassie's body isn't just about sex appeal. It's a form of storytelling. Every nude scene, every risque moment, it's a part of showing what Cassie is going through, and we can definitely see that in the show. If y'all watched it, let me know down below. But I don't know, it was a hard watch, especially Cassie scenes. Like, in a sense, it was interesting to see. Like, I don't even know how to put it in words, because Cassie, the character, is so complex, has daddy issues, wants to be loved so badly that she's willing to do anything for these men, and I just cannot relate to that at all. But seeing the character, it's just interesting because it's just not something that I guess I'm accustomed to. I don't know if I sound dumb saying that, but I just have not had those experiences. During the height of this debate, Sydney has said that she has boundaries. If she feels like there's too much going on and it doesn't make sense for her to go completely nude for a scene, she will say no, and the show's creator, Sam Levinson, he respects that. So she said she is intentional about it, and if she doesn't want to do it, she's not going to do it, but she is always open to doing it. But despite her saying this, it was still a big debate, and to this day, it's still a debate, especially in the last season, season 2. Like, we got a lot. We saw a lot of her. I'm gonna just tell you that. We saw a lot. While I was on Reddit, I saw this thread that was talking about this, and some fans pointed out that yes, while nudity in Euphoria is meant to show Cassie's vulnerability and her story, it's also very clearly designed to grab attention, and a lot of the attention comes from the fact that Sydney is attractive. Her face is pretty, her body looks good. You know how people act when they see big Tia Tamara's big boobies, they be doing too much. And a lot of people just felt that she was, you know, getting naked for these scenes to get more people to watch it, not for the storytelling. And then there's the other side. Some people barely even remember the nudity scenes. What stuck with them was Cassie's story. She's portrayed as easy to her peers, but to the audience, she comes off as someone who is desperate for attention and love because she did not get that from her daddy, which has led her to make very questionable choices. But honestly, this is not a character breakdown. This video is not about Euphoria. But one thing I will say is that I watched both seasons. Season 1 was cute, but season 2, when it came to Cassie's scenes, she definitely was showing way more. I'm gonna say that. Like, We saw a lot. And it wasn't just even Cassie, like a lot of characters were just showing everything. I'm like, is this even necessary? It was just a bit strange. I don't know, season 2, it was just weird. And it was honestly just awkward and uncomfortable to watch a lot of Cassie's scenes, especially with Nate, because he has issues and then she wants to be loved by him so badly. And then just seeing the guys use her body and just discard her like she's nothing is definitely hard to watch, because you want to be like, girl, get up. Like, what is wrong with you? Get your booty up. I think it's hard to watch because it feels so real. Sydney captured something raw in the way that young women are taught to equate attention with worth. Cassie's story hit a nerve because so many girls could see themselves in her, even the pieces that they did not want to admit to. I definitely saw some pieces of my friends in her, but that's a discussion for another day. Personally, I didn't love Cassie's character, but I do feel like she was important to the storyline because she represented something real that a lot of young women, a lot of girls crave, and they're taught to crave this type of love and like just go all in, put your heart in love. And I feel like now young girls are taught differently, which we talked about in my previous video with the Wizard Liz and all that. But I feel like for the most part, a lot of young girls are taught to, you know, get married, have kids, like that's like should be your life goal. So I feel like a lot of them equate their self-worth to being in a relationship, having kids, getting married, finding their husband. That's why I do feel like Cassie's character is important, because it does represent that desperation for love. That being said, Sydney has expressed how comfortable she is when she's in these scenes, so more power to her. And even before Euphoria, she was in scenes like that anyways, so at least she's okay with that, because that was a big concern for a lot of people out there. Because as we go through her story, you see that her appearance is a big part of her appeal, and it's literally constantly, it's always being talked about. Whenever Complex be posting her on Instagram, all people say is like raw next. They don't even try to be saying anything normal. It's always about her body. Anyways, are y'all gonna watch Euphoria season 3? Let me know in the comments down below if you're going to, if you're not going to, why? Because I'm still debating. I know they are filming Euphoria like now. I'm probably gonna end up watching it if I'm being honest, because I'm going to. But if y'all are gonna watch it, let me know down below too. We'll watch it together. Anyways, so Sydney had her big breakthrough with Euphoria, but the only problem now was that she became a typecast. The young, pretty blonde lady with big boobs who could only play the sexy characters or the dumb characters. That was where she was being boxed into. The audience saw her body before they saw her talent. I remember I even saw a video on YouTube, hopefully I can find it, but it was titled Sydney Sweeney Needs to Play an Ugly Character. And that was a very valid criticism at the time, because she was always being cast into the young, dumb, blonde, pretty, whatever, nothing complex. And that's why when she was finally cast into something that was complex like Christy, it was a shock, not a shock, but it was surprising that the movie flopped. But we will get into that in the next section. But instead of Sydney running away from the stereotype, she has kind of doubled down on it. Her next big move was Anyone But You, and it's a rom-com where she basically played the same archetype people already associated with her. And the movie actually did really well. It made around 220 million worldwide, which is huge for a rom-com. I watched it, I thought it was cute. It's one of those movies where you just put it on in the back and let it play. Like, if you just want a feel-good movie, it's that. It's the go-to. Nothing to watch if you want like an actual good storyline, if that makes sense. But of course, there was drama surrounding the film, and I don't know if that's why the film ended up doing well, but I feel like this is important to mention because I feel like it's kind of tied to why people don't like Sydney Sweeney now. So Glenn Powell, yeah, I'm gonna call him Powell. He was Sydney's co-star, and there was a lot of chemistry when they were doing their press tours. You know, I felt like it was fake because you guys are promoting a movie where you guys are love interests, so of course y'all are gonna do the most. But anyways, they were doing the most. And because they were doing the most, people were obsessing over their body language, the way they looked at each other, their interviews. It was a lot. Like, people thought that they were having an affair on set, basically. But at the time, Glenn was dating model Gigi Paris, and things got pretty messy. Gigi later said on a podcast that she fell out of love with him after he told her not to visit the set, which, you know, sounds a little bit suspicious. Why could I visit the set, huh? When she eventually went to Australia, where the movie was being filmed, their relationship ended for good. Sydney and Glenn both denied the affairs, but Sydney also admitted that they played into the rumors to promote the movie. And that's when the internet started to turn on her, because even if it wasn't real, it felt manipulative, and also you were coming in between a man and his boo thing. But also, I'm pretty sure Sydney was engaged to someone around that time as well. I'm pretty positive. I think she has a new man right now. People are saying that she's with Scooter Braun. You know, Scooter Braun was Justin Bieber's manager for a long time. I don't know about that, but I could be wrong. But this incident was minor compared to the much larger controversies that have followed her career. So let's get into it. Part 2. When Sydney Sweeney started to lose the plot. Okay, so around this time, and I want to say like this year, but technically it started back in 2022, her public image began to shift. What was once seen as confidence and ambition began to blur into overexposure and the confusion about who she really wanted to be, the actress, the sex symbol, or the brand. But before we get into the mess that Sydney has gotten herself into, I wanted to ask y'all a question on Instagram about this whole topic. So this is what I asked. Has the line between empowerment and performance completely disappeared? Only 9% of you still believe that empowerment means something. Then 21% said everything is performative now. 16% said it depends on the platform. And over half, 53%, said that the line isn't gone, but it's definitely getting blurry. So here's what that tells me. Women are exhausted. We are tired of being told that every choice is empowering, while brands, influencers, and celebrities turn that word into a marketing strategy. We're tired of watching empowerment get packaged, monetized, and sold back to us as content. And deep down, we're starting to notice that a lot of what we're supposed to call empowerment looks a lot more like a performance. I made a video earlier about Sydney's bathwater and also Sabrina Carpenter's Man Best Friend album cover because those were quite the controversy when it was going on. I feel like I was fair with my critique, but with Sydney's bathwater, I never felt like it was empowerment. I just thought it was weird and it was catering to a weird demographic. And then when it came to Sabrina Carpenter's album cover, I thought it was weird too. I personally didn't like it, but it definitely played into the aesthetic that she is going for now. And I mean, it worked. I think the album did well. It also got a lot of controversy. And you know what they say, all publicity is good publicity. So I guess it worked out for both of them. But it was a debate if these things that these ladies were doing was actually empowerment. Because is it empowering to be on your hands and knees and have a man grab your hair? And is it empowering to sell your bath water as soap to thirsty men? That was just the debate. But I am getting ahead of myself. But I will say though, I feel like we are in a new era where we are questioning everything, and not just celebrities, but literally everything and how they market things to us. And we're questioning the entire system that rewards women only when we perform the right kind of empowerment. And that's exactly where Sydney's story starts getting complicated. But thank you all so much for participating in these polls. It always makes the video interesting. So if you want to be part of future polls, make sure you check me out on Instagram. It's NK's World with 2 D's because one's not enough. Okay, I haven't made that joke in a long time, so allow me fam, let me. And also, if you have made it this far, you might as well subscribe. I don't know what you're waiting for. Click that button here or here, subscribe. And let's keep going. To understand why Sydney's fan base turned on her, we have to go back to 2022, when she was still Hollywood's golden girl and none of us realized how fast things could shift. Back in 2022, Sydney threw her mom a surprise 60th birthday party. Cute, right? It was cute until the pictures hit the internet. People zoomed in on the red hats that looked very MAGA coded, but they said, "Make 60 great again." And that alone made her fans start questioning her because it was just very weird. And if you don't know, MAGA stands for Make America Great Again. It was Donald Trump's campaign slogan in 2016, and the red hats with that phrase became a huge symbol of his supporters. And over time, it's become more than just a slogan. People associate it with right-wing politics, anti-immigration rhetoric, racism, and conservative culture wars. So when people saw MAGA style hats at Sydney's mom's birthday party, even though hers said "Make 60 great again," the vibe immediately shifted because the design just looked identical to MAGA. And they're like, why are you hosting a MAGA themed birthday party? Like, hello? Sydney hopped on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I call it Twitter. But basically, she was just trying to clear up the rumors. She said that people are reading into it and it's just an innocent family thing. But this was not enough for the internet. People were still side-eyeing her and they're like, girl, what do you mean this is just an innocent thing? Y'all had a MAGA-themed birthday party. Like, explain. Months later, she addressed the controversy again and she said, honestly, I feel like nothing I say can help the conversation. It's been turning into a wildfire and nothing I can say will take it back to the correct track. That response didn't help her case at all. In fact, it felt like she was saying nothing really because she didn't address anything. And what's annoying is the fact that you see that she does this a lot. Instead of addressing things head on, she will just beat around the bush and not just say it. And she does this again, which is why I was like, okay, I was definitely wrong about Sydney, because I was surprised, but we are going to get into that in a second. A year after this controversy happened, she did an interview with Variety where she gave us a bit more context. She said that everything was misinterpreted, that the people wearing the hats weren't even her family, and that they were her mom's friends who thought it would be funny. She even brought up unprompted that her dad did not go to this birthday party. But the main thing she kept repeating was that she feels like she's not a human anymore and that people bring you up to tear you down. And while that is definitely a real thing in celebrity culture, this moment marked the beginning of a bigger pattern. Sydney being at the center of controversies tied to politics, identity, and representation, and constantly giving these half answers that don't land. Then one fan commented something that basically summed up the entire internet's frustration with Sydney. Assumptions: don't gaslight your fans. Your family is obviously far right, based on the Blue Lives Matter shirts and the MAGA babies. And I don't believe I mentioned this, but in the photos of Sydney's mom's birthday party, there was a man wearing a Blue Lives Matter shirt. The Blue Lives Matter movement is in retaliation to the Black Lives Matter movement, so it was giving very much a far right themed birthday party. This comment is so tea because literally no one was creating a conspiracy theory out of thin air. She posted the photos so we could see the photos. Well, I don't know if Sydney posted it or the photos got leaked, but we could see the visuals. Like, no one was making anything up out of thin air. So when she responded saying stop making assumptions, it felt like she was just being very dismissive, especially to the audience that helped her rise in the first place. Mainly because her fans, I would say, I don't think they're really her fans anymore, but her fans were young, progressive, and they were shaped by the same social issues that Euphoria constantly deep dives into. So for her to act confused about why people were concerned made her look out of touch at best and intentionally invasive at worst. This birthday party was the first crack in the image that people once adored. The real breaking point comes next. So mid-2025, this year, our girl Sydney Sweeney decided to sell her bathwater as a soap bar with Dr. Squatch. I made a full video about this, so I'm not going to go into depth here, but I will link it down below so you can check it out. Apparently, this whole mess started because she did an ad for the brand a while back and she just happened to be in a bathtub. That's it. That literally was the whole spark. And of course, the internet immediately ran with it because people started joking and they were like, yo, where can I buy Sydney's bathwater? And the brand, they decided to make that a reality for people. As I said before, when Sydney Sweeney had her breakthrough role with Euphoria, people just boxed her into the role of being the hot, blonde girl with the big boobs. And that has been the stereotype that has followed her throughout her career. So people were just playing into it. They're like, oh my gosh, she's hot. I want to get her bathwater. And to my surprise, she decided to actually sell her bathwater. I don't know. It just felt like she was leading into the desperation of these thirsty men. And it was just strange because I just wasn't expecting it. The soap was made with pine bark extract, exfoliating sand, some earthy woodsy scent, and allegedly a touch of her bathwater. They dropped 5,000 bars on June 6th and it was limited release. So once it sold out, it was going to be gone forever. And each bar was $8. To this day, I'm still surprised that they made it so cheap. I thought because she's a celebrity and she's, Sydney Sweeney, they would add like a celebrity premium fee and make the soaps like $20, $30, $40, even $50. So I'm surprised they didn't, but I'm sure if they did make it that expensive, them thirsty people would still buy it. The company's vice president of marketing tried to spin it like they were trying to encourage men to take better care of themselves by releasing Sydney Sweeney's bathwater as a soap. But that literally makes no sense. How are you selling soap, something that is supposed to make you clean, and you're putting someone's bathwater in it? Like, how? Like, does that even make sense? But with this whole bathwater soap controversy, it was always just so weird to me, and I was just conflicted because on one hand, I was like, yes, get your money, milk these thirsty people. But at the same time, it's like, you already have money, you already have this image, this brand. Why are you doing this? Why are you selling your bathwater? I'm sure you don't need the money. Like, Sydney is a very successful actress. I saw somewhere that her net worth is like $40 million. She's making a lot of money with this movies. Like, girl, why? This stunt turned off a lot of her fans because it was appealing to a very weird side of the internet and just a very weird demographic of men. These men were the type to only be interested in her for her looks, not for her movies or any other type type of work that she does, which is why a lot of people feel like her recent movie flopped. But we will get into that in a second. What really gets me is how this whole thing blurs the line between celebrity and intimacy. Because think about it, when you're selling soap made from your bathwater, you're not just selling a product, you're selling access. You're selling a piece of your body, your privacy, your fantasy. It's like this new wave of parasocial merch where fans aren't just buying posters or hoodies, they're buying proximity. And that's where the debate kicks in. People are like, it's empowerment, get your money. And other people are questioning if it's empowerment. And that's where I feel a lot of you are, at least on Instagram, like y'all are questioning what the media calls empowerment. Because usually they just call anything empowerment just to get women to buy into the idea and to support it and just to make them more money. So we're just clocking the tea, really. At this point, it really felt like Sydney was doing a lot to alienate her original fan base. And to her luck, it has been working, because that leads us straight into the next controversy, when I had to stop defending Sydney. The American Eagle ad. Listen, so I don't really get worked up over a lot of things, and I know if you watch my videos, you may not think that just because I talk about a lot of stuff. But truly, once I research a video, I talk about it, I make the video that I posted, I don't really think about it anymore. And I do it for my own peace of mind, because I'm not gonna be up and awake, stressed out about every single thing that's going on in this world, because simply I can't. And I feel like I adopted this back in high school when I went through my phase, not a phase though, but when I started really seeing the world for how it is and I became, you know, woke, as they like to call it. And I was like, wow, like the world is actually garbage. Like, and I was realizing that it was kind of like, what's the word? Not toxic, but it's just hard to carry that with you. Like just thinking that the world's evil and just being so aware of what's going on. So I definitely have toned that down though, but I still do what I can. Like I donate where I can. I just don't take these things to heart anymore. And it's a privilege that I can say that, because, you know, some people, a lot of people can't say that because they are going through it themselves. But that's just something I try to do for my own peace of mind. So I'm saying this all to explain why at first I didn't care for their American Eagle ad. I watched it, but I wasn't worked up. I just thought it was for rage bait. It was just for publicity, because what do they say? All publicity is good publicity. And I was like, if Sydney is okay with being part of that, maybe what everyone was accusing her of, it's true. But this wasn't some one-off slip up. If it were, maybe, just maybe, I would have been more empathetic. But I mean, we can't forget the MAGA themed birthday party. That was the first red flag. Now this ad, it just speaks volumes. But I am getting ahead of myself, so let me just explain it. So the American Eagle ad dropped in July 2025, and it instantly blew up because of the whole jeans versus jeans pun. Sydney says this line about traits being passed down from your parents, then the camera zooms in on her blue eyes, and then she goes, "My jeans are blue." And immediately people are like, what's going on here? People were calling it racially coded, and others were saying American Eagle was low-key playing with eugenics. TikTok was drowning in think pieces, and even CNN stepped in to label it a dog whistle. Meanwhile, conservative creators were treating the backlash like Christmas morning. And then Trump chimed in saying that he loved the ad, which just poured gasoline onto everything. And if you don't know, eugenics is the idea that you can improve the human race by controlling who gets to reproduce. It's based on racist, classist, and ableist beliefs. It's a harmful, discredited ideology that tries to frame certain traits or people as superior and others as inferior. Historically, it's been used to justify forced sterilizations, discrimination, violence, especially against marginalized communities. So when people said that the American Eagle ad was given eugenics, they meant the wordplay around genes felt a little too close to implying certain bodies or traits are inherently better, and that's a problem. But here's the thing that people aren't talking about enough. This wasn't just some random misfire. I was reading an article that said that this was American Eagle's biggest ad investment ever. Their sales have been dipping, so they went for shock value on purpose, and it worked because apparently their jeans sold out. So this is why I say all publicity is good publicity. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just surprised the jeans sold out, but I guess the people who liked the ad or liked the controversy of it, they decided to wear American Eagle jeans. Because I have never worn those jeans ever in my life. I prefer Levi jeans. They're great. Hopefully that brand is not problematic. But American Eagle, I just never cared for that. What's really interesting too about the American Eagle ad is the fact that a lot of these brands are shifting back to like this old school advertising type thing. Like they're trying to be less inclusive. It's just a really weird time in like pop culture right now. I personally just think it's because of who's in charge, like, you know, politics and all that. That definitely plays a part into like beauty, pop culture, entertainment, and things like that. So American Eagle decided to to lean into that, and Sydney willingly became the face of it. And that's why people are like, girl, we are really side-eyeing you right now. So when people called out the ad for being tone deaf or racially weird or overly sexualized, because it was also that as well, she was talking to us in this seductive voice, I'm like, yo, they literally have made her a sex symbol, an icon, and she willingly leans into it at this point. So it's like, more power to you, girl. But all of this was not happening in a vacuum. It was happening on top of the birthday party discourse, on top of the bathwater soap, and on top of her image already changing. It seemed like she was repositioning herself, and the American Eagle ad used that to their advantage. But if you think it's bad, it's about to get worse than that. And I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just sometimes when things are just so bad, you just have to laugh because like you just don't know how to respond to it. This was a mess, but let me just get into it. Okay, so this month, Sydney finally addressed the American Eagle ad in her GQ interview, and it really just made everything 10 times worse. During an interview with GQ's Catherine Stofel, hopefully I'm saying that right, so Sydney was asked about how she felt about Donald Trump endorsing the American Eagle ad, because Trump said, Sydney Sweeney, a registered Republican, has the hottest ad out there. Go get him, Sydney. I'm just like, why is the president talking about an American Eagle ad? Like, what? It's so weird. The whole thing is very bizarre. Also, did I mention that it was revealed recently, I think this year or last year, that Sydney's a registered Republican. So when her family did have that MAGA themed birthday party, people were not reaching. It was because they are Republicans. So good for them. So when asked about Trump endorsing her, Sydney said that it was a surreal moment. Yeah, you already know where this is going. If you have been paying attention to this video, you probably have been clocking everything already. Honestly, when it comes to politics, I'm not even arguing with anybody because I just don't have that energy and strength. And that's why I usually try to avoid talking about it. But it comes up so much in Sydney's story, and it explains why a large chunk of her fan base don't support her anymore, especially with how she answers this next question. So the interviewer, Catherine, offers Sydney a chance to clarify the conclusion surrounding the ad. Since a lot of people felt like the ad was promoting white supremacy, just white superiority, so Catherine was like, hey, do you want to clarify that and explain to the audience like what the ad was trying to say and if it was, you know, promoting that type of stuff? And Sydney just said this as her response.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
Girl, you had the chance, you had the platform to clear up any confusion about the ad, and you didn't. You had a whole opportunity just to say, hey, I don't support white supremacy. I don't think whiteness is superior. Have a great day. You could have said that, but you chose not to. You gave us a whole lot of nothing, and that's crazy. And after I saw her response, I was like, girl, I cannot and I will not defend you no more. Actually, quite a lot of people could not defend her after that. Dan Stevens, he's an English actor most known for his role in Downton Abbey, and he posted this tweet on his story. It said, Sydney Sweeney's GQ interview is a reminder that not having a stance on white supremacy is 100% having a stance on white supremacy. And that's exactly how I felt when listening to her answer. Before I expand on this point, I just want to mention too that I felt like the interview was terrible. I watched like about 5 minutes of it, and I was focusing on the part where the interviewer was asking her, hey, what do you think about the ad? What do you think about Donald Trump? Catherine, like the interviewer, do I call her interviewer or journalist? I'm not sure. But I felt like she wasn't asking any hard-hitting questions, and it just felt kind of like awkward, or that she was scared to ask Sydney questions.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that, maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
It just wasn't a good interview, in my opinion. And it's also, this is kind of a side note, but this reminds me of Mina Lay's video. She made a video about the death of the celebrity interview. And I agree with her because she made a lot of valid points. And I just feel like nowadays, like journalists or interviewer people, they are just kissing up to these celebrities. Like at this point, it's not even an interview. And you don't have to be an aggressive interviewer and like be rude to the celebrities, but you gotta ask the hard-hitting questions. Like, come on. Like nowadays, a lot of them just kiss ass in hopes that they can network and get more interviews and get more job opportunities and just be in the good graces of these celebrities. Because of course, if these interviewers make these celebrities mad, they can get blacklisted. So I get it, but it just sucks that we're not really having proper interviews anymore to get into the depth of like why you created this art, especially when it comes to music and art pieces and movies. Like I want to know the inspiration. I want to get into it. But nowadays, these interviews are just very shallow. It's not even an interview, it's a conversation. But that's besides the point. So during the whole controversy with this ad, there came the conversation of women aligning themselves with powerful men for benefit. Because some people feel like Sydney is aligning herself with powerful men because if she stays in their good graces, she'll be protected and benefit from it. I read this really interesting Substack article about this, and they're basically saying that we need to stop infantilizing women who choose to marry these rich, powerful men because we act like they don't know what they're doing and they're like a damsel in distress, but they do know exactly what they're doing. They talked about Ballerina Farm, you know, that TikTok lady with like 10,000 children. She's married to this like billionaire, or this guy who is a heir to a billionaire dollar company. And then they also talked about Usha Vance. She is the second lady of the United States of America, and she is JD Vance's wife. So basically the article was saying that we have to stop acting like these women are helpless and don't know what they're doing because they indeed know what they are doing. The post also brought up Melania Trump, you know, Donald Trump's wife, as an example as well because she fits into it too. So this ties into what a lot of people think Cindy is doing. She's aligning herself with Republicans, with Trump, with that whole crowd simply because he is the one in power right now. It feels like less genuine politics and more like a strategic self-positioning. And it's working for her for now, but will it work out in the long run? But also, I don't know if I necessarily agree with this because I feel like her family is already right-wing, so maybe it is genuine politics. Maybe it's not just to strategically set herself up for success. Maybe this is just what they believe. But when it comes to her work as an actress, it seems like the fans that she is trying to cater to don't really care to see her movies because her most recent movie, Christie, has flopped. The film opened to about 1.3 million across more than 2,000 theaters, which is basically unheard of for a wide release. That's one of the weakest openings in recent memory. It's giving the strategy is not strategizing. The movie had months of hype, a TIFF premiere, people whispering and saying that, oh, she's gonna be an Oscar contender, and then once it hit theaters, it was crickets. I thought this movie was gonna be a big deal and I was ready to see it until, you know, Sydney started doing all that rubbishness. But when I made my video about her like 4 months ago, I was like, yes, I'm excited to see the movie, to see her play something, you know, raw, real, and just like vulnerable. However, it seems like she has turned off her fan base so much to the point where they're not even going out to support her like that. But Christie is a biopic about Christy Martin, one of the most famous and influential female boxers in US history. Sometimes she's even referred to as the female Mike Tyson. The movie follows her rise to fame as a groundbreaking woman in a male-dominated sport, how she hid her sexuality because Christy is a lesbian, her relationship with another woman, which was also a major part of her real-life story, the abuse she faced and how she eventually escaped, and her comeback and survival after Jim, her ex-husband, attacked her. That man was trying to kill her, but she survived, so amen. And you know, this is why people are side-eyeing Cindy and not really feeling her, because Cindy is doing this role while also aligning herself with conservative politics. The story is inherently about sexuality, gender, power, violence, and the system that tried to silence Christy. So it's like, girl, how are you playing this role, but your brand is completely different? And honestly, that makes sense. This might be why the movie flopped. Because as I said, I was going to watch it. I was ready to, you know, check out Cindy. But after I saw the GQ interview, the American Eagle ad, and all these other stuff, I was like, okay, I'm not going to see it. When you're starring in a story about a queer woman fighting for her life and you're out here dodging basic questions, aligning yourself with people who openly attack the communities this film represents, it just creates this weird disconnect and viewers can feel that. I'm good on that. And then, as if things weren't messy enough, Ruby Rose decided to jump into the whole thing and it just made it way more messier. She went on Threads and basically said that Sydney hates gay people. Like, that is not a light accusation at all. By the way, Ruby Rose, she is an American actor and she's known for her roles in Orange is the New Black. Ruby explained that she was actually supposed to be Christy at first. She said the original script was incredible, it was raw, and that most of the cast attached at the time were queer, which made the story feel personal. Then she claimed Sydney's team tried to spin the flop as her doing the movie for the people. And Ruby was like, what? What people? Because according to her, none of the people want to see someone who hates them pretending to be us. So yes, that was quite the mess and I was not expecting anyone, at least in the industry, to openly, you know, go after Sydney, but here we are. People were dragging Ruby in her replies, but let's be honest, she was not beating around the bush. She said exactly how she felt, no sugarcoating, no pure filter. And the fact that she came out this direct just tells you how messy the situation really is. It's one of those moments where everyone looks bad, the movie looks bad, and the whole rollout ends up being buried under drama instead of the actual story. However, I will say that Christy has defended Sydney throughout all of this, so as long as she's happy with how she was portrayed in the movie, then period to that. But after breaking down every controversy and every weird moment, the bigger question isn't even about Sydney anymore. It's about what her fall represents. Part 3. What Sydney's fall says about authenticity, celebrity, and the fan base shift. You know that article that I was talking about earlier on Substack? So I searched it up because I just had to find it. If I did not find it, I would have been so mad. Anyways, it's called The Imagined Victimhood of Conservative Women, and it's by Jax Prayer. That title eats though, I love that title. Ooh. The article basically said, stop pretending women don't know what they're doing when they align themselves with powerful men. Some women choose proximity to power because it benefits them, socially, financially, politically, and honestly, that may be the pattern that we are seeing play out with Sydney. She's not fumbling these controversies by accident. She's not confused. She is aligning. She's pivoting her image toward the people who hold power right now, politically and socially, because adjacency to power has always been a shortcut to protection, opportunity, and longevity. It's possible that if Trump was not in power, she would not be so open with her beliefs. That's just what I think. And what Sydney and also a lot of other celebrities are doing, because we are seeing celebrities, openly voice their support for Trump. Well, some of them, whatever. But I would consider this like playing the game. And I feel like we all do this, but just not to the extent that Sydney's doing it, of course. It's like when you have a job interview and you are on your best behavior, you're smiling, showing all your pearly white teeth just to get that job. And you stay on your best behavior for the first 3 months. Then after that, you go back to how you were before. But there is a big difference between putting your best foot forward and strategically aligning yourself with people who are openly harmful or controversial because you think it will benefit you. That's a whole different level of kissing ass. And it says something way deeper about your values, your priorities, and the brand you're trying to build. And that's exactly why celebrities like Sydney get caught in these weird contradictions. Because when you keep positioning yourself next to a certain men, certain ideologies, or certain audiences, it eventually stops being, oh, she's just being polite. And it starts looking like a pattern. And once people clock that pattern, they don't unsee it. But chasing that kind of proximity always comes with a price. If your brand is, or I guess in this case was, built on relatability or being like a Gen Z icon, then aligning yourself with people who represent the opposite of that, you're basically just blowing up your own foundation. She lost the audience that carried her career, and the audience that she pivoted to couldn't even save her movie. So that just leaves one final question. Does fame or success actually corrupt women, or does the industry just reward women who are willing to align themselves with conservative power, even if it means losing the audience that built them? But anyways, thank you once again for watching today's video. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for making it to the end. Don't forget to download Love and Pies. The link is down below and it's free to download. Anyways, thank you so much for being here. I will see you all very soon. So bye.